Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday.
It's,
Yes.
I know,
Yeah.
right? It's 4 p.m. Central Time. It means it's time for the back catalog listening party. And I want to toast all of you for making it through another week. Clink.
Cheers. Clink.
And
Well, tender, joyful Juneteenth to everyone.
That's
It's a
right.
really an important day that hopefully we'll be having even more celebration time as we change things.
Very encouraged to
Exactly.
see all the
Yeah.
kind of corporations that have started to make this a holiday for them. And it's a good start.
Yeah.
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 for
Maybe
sure.
next we'll have voting be a holiday.
That would be awesome.
That you would.
We're going to make it happen
know.
right here on Back Catalog Listening Party.
That's right.
Yes.
It starts with us.
Yes.
Yes.
It starts with two beverages and
What do you got there in that coffee cup? What kind of Java?
coffee?
What kind of Java do you brew?
Well, this Java actually has a little bit of that clear mind stuff. It's the chaga coffee, so it's
Nice.
like got a little mushroomy. I don't know. I every once in a while I have some and I make up that I think better.
I can tell
So
it's
I
working.
wanted to think better. I wanted to
Nice.
think better for y'all.
That's wonderful. And what are you drinking, Tony?
I'm doing a little gin and tonic.
Sure.
For the summer.
Man after my own heart. That's my go-to drink. But today I had mint, so I have a mojito happening today. So,
All right.
and not only that, I have cheese and crackers as well.
Oh my goodness.
It's a full-on celebration today, this Juneteenth edition of Back Catalog Listening Party. And hi to Chris and Gary tuning in already. So tell us what you are drinking, what you're eating on this beautiful Friday afternoon. Hopefully it's beautiful where you are. It's beautiful in Minneapolis. And you'll be able to tell because the sun will change the pallor of our faces as the broadcast goes on. So
That's right. Well, speaking of the broadcast, you are tuned into the Back Catalog Listening Party, a weekly show where we celebrate our favorite musicians and their music, the art that they have created in the past, which is something that we all need right now. And I am one of the co-hosts, Anthony Ihrig. Ellen?
Mother Banjo, also one of the co-hosts. And today we have Ellis Delaney joining us. We're so excited to have them here with us. And also from South Minneapolis. So 3 South Minneapolis folks on the
Yes.
show today. And it's great to have you here. And with
Buddha
your-
pills and almonds. Now,
Nice.
that sounds good.
that sounds real
wow.
good. And so anyway, we're happy to have you here. And we're going to dig into a record that might have been the first record I was introduced to by you when I first moved to the Twin Cities. And this is the 2003 release, Tigers Above, Tigers Below. And for folks who might not be as familiar with your music, why don't you give us the little 2-minute bio and maybe where this album fits into your pretty big catalog of music.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, really quick, I'm, no longer a touring artist, but I am a performing songwriter, and I just released my 10th record this year called Ordinary Love, and this is a record called Tigers Above, Tigers Below from 2003, and this record was the first record that I decided was going to take longer than 4 or 5 days. To do everything. I decided to take a full month and gather some of my closest people to me and co-collaborate to make something, beautiful that wasn't just about what I was thinking in my head, and trying to make all on my own.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Great. And before you were doing the solo songwriter thing, you were also in a band as well that some folks might
Yes.
remember from St. Olaf. Tell us a little bit about that. And for folks who might
Oh,
not know.
Bobby Llama. Oh, Bobby Llama. Llama days were good days. We were a 6-piece. So much fun playing shows that lots of people were dancing, as trumpet, sax, mandolin, violin, bass, electric guitar, drums, and multi-harmonies and 4-part and just really a lot of fun. I mean, we really had a funky folk, rock, pop sound that was just, also had a little jam band in there too, just a real mix of things.
Yeah, and I wanted you to mention that because I feel like this record, maybe because you spent more time recording it with a whole bunch of musicians, I think folks might be surprised at all the different kinds of sounds that are on this record, and it's not just like acoustic guitar and maybe some harmonies. So tell us a little bit about how you chose to approach making this record. I know it was a longer process, but tell us about where you recorded it, who with, etc.
Yeah, well, I had been doing some touring in 2002. I think I met her in 2001. Erika Luckett, a good friend of mine who is a songwriter and performer, who another friend of mine said, you have to meet this amazing person. And so Erika and I were touring together, and just really, I just, her musicianship is, and the caliber of her songs were just so beautiful. And she was kind of rooted in a finger style, she had a lot of Cuban, and like there were all these different styles and textures that she would bring through, but all through the lens of her unique Erika-ness. And so if you could still find Erika is how it's spelled, but Erika was how we pronounced her name. And you can still find her music out there. She passed away a couple of years ago, and during this time that we were touring, I got this idea that I really wanted to make a record that was very thoughtful and used a lot of collaboration. And I was talking with her about this, and somehow the idea came to have her help co-produce a record with me. And she had just recently worked with a producer down in New Orleans. And the way I've always approached my records is whoever I want to produce my record, I'll go where they are. It's not necessarily thinking, I want to go to a certain place, but I want to go to a certain producer,
element,
and it's so for me, it was like, Ethan Allen was the name of this person that Erika loved, and said, he's down in New Orleans, and New Orleans, my heart, it's like, I'm from Texas originally, and we used to go down to New Orleans, when I was a kid, to spend a little time there, and off and on for vacations or for different events and festival things that were there, and so anyway, I have a lot of memories there. So I was excited to go back and so between me, Erika, then Terry, my wife at the time, was touring with me also, and so we were all, she would be with the printer and the computer, and we'd stop at a Kinko's, and it was all so much more complicated. You had to carry your office with you in like a bin, and so, between us, we were able to connect, and, through Erika, of course, I met Julie Wolfe, who is this wonderful, piano player, organ player, spirit. And so, she was involved. I, was lovely in the process also. And, and just, all these people that were in New Orleans that Ethan knew already and had worked with, came into the picture. And then who I work with, I had at the time, I was actually playing out with him quite a bit too. Peter Anderson, the drummer here in Minneapolis, who's been a part of a lot of different projects, who also was working quite a bit with Ed Ackerson at Flowers, just thinking about, Ed for a minute. Oh, anyway, I don't know why I just diverted, but every time I think of Peter, I think of Ed now. But Peter traveled down with us, to New Orleans to spend the month down there, and it really became this collaborative thing, which I'll talk more about. I can go on and on, but.
Yeah, please do. And now, this was not a traditional recording studio, is that correct?
No, it was a shotgun Camelback house.
What? Okay, so for those of us who don't know what that is, what is that?
So we decided I really wanted to rent a house, record in a place that we were also going to camp out in, and sleep and just kind of really live in this record, right? Mm-hmm. And so we found this shotgun camelback house, which is what the architecture is called. It's called, and it was on Constant Street. So we call it the Constant Street Studio. But basically you see the door there. It's like you go straight in, and there's really it's not very wide. It's sort of lean and long, and you go in and there's the front room, and that was our control room. And then the next room was separated by a set of doors into it was like a living room type place. And that's where we set up the drums and where we had the bass and everything. And then there was like this little hallway area. And there was also happened to be a door that closed with some glass. So we could use that as the vocal booth. And then behind me was the kitchen area with the, stove and everything. And then they call it a shotgun because that's what the house is. It's just shotguns, like from the front to the back. Okay. It's, just one way. But then Camelback, it had an upstairs.
Got it. All right. That sounds cool. Now, do you think that the just the setup, I know as having been in different studios and done things at home, do you feel like just that environment affected the way that the album came out?
Oh, yeah. It was relaxed. It was it was the first record that I really felt like I was gonna make it fully itself. I was, as much as I could, not stop until I thought it was actually done, which is really hard to do when you're shooting for something that you don't know what it is. You can kind of continually mold it and make it different and never release it, Yeah. And so, yeah, I just really wanted to have an experience with the people that I was making music with, and have that experience show up in the record, in the recording. So you could kind of hear a little bit of that ease, that connection, the process.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, should we take a listen to something here?
Yeah.
I want to hear this ease. I need a little ease to ease into Friday right here. So.
Right.
What do we got queued up here first, Ellen?
We have Nothing New, I think, queued up first.
Anything you want to mention about this track?
Oh gosh, this track is all about intimacy and the idea that we can rely on each other, to hold difficulty, to love each other through the hard times. And I think I'm just talking about the capacity that human beings have to hold both joy and sorrow.
Awesome. All right. This is Ellis Delaney, Nothing New on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Tell me what's on your mind, I'll tell you what's been on mine. Things we've been holding back will finally come to light. We've been here before, hiding out and insecure, but what else are shadows for than showing us the night? There's nothing scary you can show me, I've seen it before. I'm living just the same as you. I've got dark corners that I am afraid to explore, but I know they are nothing new. They are nothing new, but they can consume me. I need someone to believe. I need you to see through all the darkest places, to love me even though I'm not so beautiful all the time. Sometimes I wonder if you love me like you say that you do. if you do, will you still, when I open up for real, and pieces of me I don't like are blatantly in view? There's nothing scary I can show you. You've seen it before. You're living just the same as me. You've got dark corners that you are afraid to explore, but you know there's a way to be free. Illusions and truth, they can't consume me. I need someone to believe. I need you to see through all the darkest places to love me, even though I'm not so beautiful all the time.
Ellis Delaney with Nothing New from her 2003 release, Tigers Above, Tigers Below. Ellis is joining us today on Back Catalog Listening Party, and that song felt real good to ease into the weekend with. Real good. That guitar playing, was that Erica on that track?
Yeah, Erika on the, I mean, just her on the electric guitars, and then the slide guitar. I'm playing a nylon string guitar, which is just, you can hear the soft, feeling of that. And oh my gosh. And then of course, Julie Wolfe was so great with the melodica.
I was curious what that was. That sounded really cool.
Oh, and she's just, she plays it.
Yeah.
In such a nice way. It's just nice.
Oh,
it's
I
edible.
love the space around everything in that song. Everything had its own place, and there was room to breathe. It was really nice.
And the
and it was one of the first. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask about the vocals, some of the backing vocals and the layering of the vocals. Was that you, or did you have other folks joining you on that?
Oh, yeah. I did some of the vocals, but Erika's in there. You can hear Erika. I'm looking at my Ethan must have sung on there too. I can't really hear him distinctly, but I know, so much of what we were doing was laying down the basic tracks and then going back and playing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So we did a lot of stuff that we didn't necessarily use, but then there was a lot of stuff that just happened that was just beautiful that we did use. So it's like from 2003 trying to remember, I need my notes here, but it was, yeah, definitely. I can hear Erika in there, singing, and there's definitely like my heart just goes, oh yeah, I can, that's the thing about recording a record is that in this, well, I think it's just period. The process is the art, right? The process of making the record is the thing that is really the thing. And then you kind of have this record afterwards. You know what I mean? It's like, there you are.
It's like it's like a vacation photo, right?
Totally.
You can never live up to what it really was, but it's still nice to look at.
Yeah. So I had all this stuff, it's like, oh yeah, my body remembers that. I remember that, and what's so funny is in this particular house, okay, first of all, we were there in January, and it's cold in New Orleans in January, and in New Orleans, it's not cold very often. And so there isn't generally heating.
Yeah, that's true.
So it was cold for, not cold for Minnesota, but cold for no heating. And so we would be all bundled up. Look at me. I look like I'm like 12. Because I am. No, I'm just kidding. But
you got your winter cap on and
winter cap on, and and it's so funny because there was no heating, and so we had this one little heater that we plugged in that would, the coils would turn, orange and like warm you up. And we called it Florida. So we would all go to Florida, warm up, and then go back to our cold.
Did you have the heater there behind the curtain, or was that even?
Oh yeah, yep. There's Peter behind the curtain. Yep, that was the hallway area that I could still see. And if you look past Peter, there you can almost see there's like little blue lights. You can almost see that those are some of the lights from the compressors and the recording equipment that Ethan had brought in. So
that
it was really
giving off a little more heat as well there.
Oh yeah, we actually
warm up
kept
next to the
Florida
compressor.
in there with him.
Oh, nice.
Just to keep him toasty, got to keep the producer happy.
Absolutely. Now, I'm sorry if I missed it, but like, what is cold? Like New Orleans cold?
Like 30s. 30s,
really?
40s. Like, I mean, cold, like it's chilly. It's during the night. During the night, I should say. During the day, it warms up a little. 50s, 40s, 50s. Maybe. No, I don't think it got up to. I mean, it was pretty chilly. Things were frosty.
Just what you need in the studio when your fingers are not working.
It was a labor of love. We felt like, it was such a privilege to be able to spend the time to spend a whole month to make a record and to have all these people. I mean, there was just, it was cold, and it was kind of fun to be uncomfortable in that way, because we were all bonding, we were bonding over our, over our love for music, and it was, yeah. And also in the very back, in a shotgun camelback house, or a shotgun house, in the very back is the kitchen, right? Which is kind of, we would turn on the stove burners to warm up the back area, which is, not the best, just to have them running just for the heck of it, but for the warmth.
Is this the whole crew then bonding here?
Yes. Oh, yes. So there's Ethan to the left, is kind of, and then we've got Renee Coman there right behind him next to Erika. Renee is in a really wonderful band. Oh gosh, I should have written it down. I thought I didn't even think I would have to remember. Lizards. Can we look him up really quick? He's in a band that's just.
Ellen, you on that?
Okay. How do you spell Renee's last name?
Renee Coman. Hold on. Let's see. Renee Coman. Iguanas.
Oh yes.
You were really close. Yeah. You were really close.
Yeah.
Oh, so close. Lizards. I'm like, some sort of. And so, yeah, the iguanas. And anyway, he was somebody who Ethan pulled in to take part in the record, who I would hire to play bass, but he did more than play bass. He hung out. Like, he came for all the other parts. Like, he fell in love with what we were doing and was a part of it. And, that was just made the time even more special. It really, it enhanced my feeling anyway, too, of like, oh, something cool is happening. And then Erika, of course, being there and just helping to direct and helping to figure out, and pull out, some of the jazzy chords and some of the, how do we stretch this? How do we make it, in some of those tunes? As I was really interested in feeling space in this record. And sometimes you can get that by making chords that are expansive, that invite you to go inside them a little bit, that aren't your standard, 1-3-5 that you're used to hearing 7, and then of course there's me, and then Jennifer JJ Jones. It was my current, or was my, at the time, touring drummer when Peter wasn't around. She was with me on the road and doing, playing this little kit and playing drums with me. And she was along to be an engineer help for Ethan, and also to just kind of check out what Peter was doing, because at the time she was really new to working with acoustic artists, or artists like me. She was mostly used to really heavy rock bands. And so, and now she, of course, that's pretty much all she works with is singer-songwriters. So now she's pretty expert, but yeah.
Awesome. And this
Peter,
is along
looking
the side
right
of the
at the
shotgun
camera.
here. Is this the side of the shotgun?
Yeah. This is you're probably standing a little bit towards where the drum room is. If you look, I think that door is actually the door that you come into the house in.
Oh, cool.
That door. So, yeah.
Very cool. If folks just tuned in, this is the back catalog listening party, and today we have Ellis Delaney joining us, talking about the 2003 release Tigers Above, Tigers Below, recorded in a shotgun camelback house in New Orleans. And Also, people might have noticed that it was recorded under the name Ellis. For many years, you recorded under that name. And just recently, you've adopted your full name as your performance name so that folks can find you more easily. But it is all the same artist. So if you see it under Ellis, don't think it's someone else. It's the real deal.
Totally.
And folks, this album is one that's available still on your website, right? ellisdelaney.com. So if folks are liking what we're hearing, and you want to hear it in its full audio quality, because this is a really beautiful sounding record, and you're going to want to hear it in that high fidelity fashion, you can order it from her website. But let's dig into another tune. This is All Over the Map. Is there anything you want to tell us about this song?
Oh, this is love drama. It's just about the push and pull.
No, I don't know. I don't know about any love drama.
It's...
All right. Well, let's listen to the love drama from Ellis Delaney, All Over the Map.
I've been taking my time, trying to live wiser. I've been getting by just fine. I think of you now, a smile on my face. So much has changed me. Where have you been? Where are you living? How are you lately? Last time I heard, things weren't so good with you and your sweetie. What's that you say? You're missing me. So nice to see you again. But you had me all over the map, and I never knew I had a chance. And now that still lovely as can be, and I still care for you. Oh, but you know the rules. I would be a fool to give up a good thing. So I'll be going. Sorry to say, I wish I could hang around. It's quite alright to keep it real and tell me how you feel. But I cannot say that I will stay. You had me all over the map, and I never knew I had a chance. And now that I am not free, you want me, but I can't give you that. No, 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 no. You had me all over the map, and I never knew I had a chance. And now that I am not free, you want me, but I can't give you that, 'cause I've got a
Very nice.
Yeah.
That was Ellis Delaney with All Over the Map from their 2003 release, Tigers Above, Tigers Below. And that song had a nice jazzy kind of vibe. In fact, I think all of our heads at one point
Yeah.
were going like, yeah. I felt like I maybe
It's also that 3/4.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
nice swing to it. Now, do you feel like a little bit of New Orleans crept
Yes.
in
Oh,
and
yeah.
to
That's
some
the
of
same.
the
Oh, for
just
sure.
the
And,
vibes?
You
and
know,
feelings?
the thing that we were doing every single night, like we would record during the day, and then every single night, most nights, I should say, we would go out and listen to music.
Oh yeah.
And so, you know, that was definitely influencing, you know, my you know, and the way that we were arranging to, you know, just a feeling of like, oh, you know, let's relax this. Let's, you know, let's feel this, you know, as a, you know, not a tight thing, you know, but as a loose thing. And New Orleans is, you know, let's be real. Let's have space around, you know, our bodies, because we're more than just bodies. You know, that's how I feel like, you know, it's like, you know.
And did some of the kind of arrangement ideas and things kind of change as you guys, you know, you spent so much time down there together rehearsing? You mentioned you guys would go out into the backyard. I think we have a picture here of you guys hanging out and playing. Was some of this just organic then in the studio kind of stuff?
Yes, and you know, I don't quite remember exactly what I brought in and what was, you know, but I know so much of what we did was arrangement, like just really trying to figure out what is going to serve the song itself, and also this feeling of space, this feeling of texture that isn't just there for the sake of it. I mean, I've really been always interested in creating music around the song so that the song can really be there and be front and center, you know. And with this particular record, I wanted New Orleans to feel like it had a voice in it, in the record too. You know what I mean? That's why I was so excited to have Renee come in and add bass and add, you know, flavors that way, and have, you know, Erika, who, you know, was very tuned into how to construct jazz chords, how to what options, you know, really quick, you know, whereas I would be struggling, like, I just want it to sound stretchy here. What can we do? You know, is it a sixth? Is it a what is it? What is it that we
I think it's a blue. It's a blue, or maybe an off
It's
greenish
like,
blue.
It's got dirt in it. You know what I mean? It's not so clear.
I'm
you
with
know,
you.
and
I
so
know.
I mean, it's just, that's how I, you know, and I feel it, and I describe it that way. But Erika could be like, oh yeah, you know, let's try this and that together, you know, and it would be
That's
immediately
a
obvious.
suspended 13th or something.
Yeah, she'd be like, oh, try this on top of that, you know, and then it would be like, you know, and all of a sudden it would be like, oh, that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure. Well, a lot of folks are commenting on this, and I want to make sure we give them a shout out. Connie, said really likes the ending to that song, and Laura said, asked, speaking of jazz, influence of high school jazz band.
Laura and I went to high school together.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, someday I'll make a standards album. I don't know. I like that idea. I love,
cool.
you know, it's songs, you know, that have spirit in them. You know, it's like it's just so important, I think, when we're singing. I mean, for me anyway, to like really feel what I'm singing, and so I don't know, influence a jazz band. I don't know. I'm just trying to connect it. I'm struggling.
What did you play? What did you play in the high school jazz band?
I sang.
Okay.
I can't remember what I sang, but
Yeah, well, that's
I
interesting.
did.
I actually had that same question that Laura did as I was listening through these tracks preparing for this episode. I can hear there's definitely a jazz influence. I wasn't sure how much came before you went down to New Orleans and something.
Well,
something
you know, I mean, I used to work at a coffee shop, you know, for years, and I would Louis Armstrong and Billie Holiday, and, you know, I mean, I would be playing, you know, jazz records and, you know, listening to the jazz station and listening to whoever was playing. You know, I mean, I really am, you know, I've always been very interested in music that, you know, country music even, you know, it's like this really rootsy music that comes from people having their regular lives and expressing, joy, pain, love, broken heart, like all that stuff. Like I want to understand it, really feel it, get it. So,
Yeah.
For sure. And we're talking about this album, Tigers Above, Tigers Below. And that title always has this sort of ominous feel. And that I kind of remember that there was sort of a little bit of that thread, in that record. But now, of course, the two tunes we heard had such a warm vibe. Tell us a bit about why you decided to call this album Tigers Above, Tigers Below.
Well, it's a part of the reason why I thought it would be a good one for today, being Juneteenth and being in the midst, here we are in South Minneapolis in the midst of an awakening for especially the white-bodied community here, or the folks that haven't been involved in social justice work as much as is needed. And we're waking up and like, oh yeah, let's, and it's been I feel like this process of freedom, what is freedom, has been a question that I've been asking for a really long time. Spirituality has always been that, like the freedom from suffering, that's been my main tether, to spirit and spirituality. It's like it's had, the Christian church tied to it a little bit. It's had Buddhism tied, but really ultimately I'm interested in how to be free. And what I mean by that is to really be loving, really be in my life and really be able to respond to my life in a way that's genuine and real. And so this story, Tigers Above, Tigers Below, is a story that I heard from a Buddhist teacher talking about, that there was this, I'll try and tell the story really quickly. There's this person running from tigers. They get to this cliff and they see that there's a vine hanging off of the cliff, and they sort of, climb down the cliff, and the person is holding on to the vine, and the tigers gather above hungrily, looking down at the person, trying to figure out, like tigers would, how can I get that? And then, the person's there, and then they look below and they see that tigers are gathering below as well, hungrily waiting for the person to fall. And so here they are in the middle of this situation and hanging on a vine. And, then they hear this munchy noise, and they look up and they see that there's a mouse chewing on the vine. Oh no. And so, and here they are, tigers above, tigers below, mouse chewing on the vine. And then the person looks over and sees that there's a batch of strawberries growing. And so the person picks a strawberry, eats it, thoroughly enjoying it. And I've always found that story to be so moving, because here we are in our human lives. We're out of control. We don't really know what's going to happen. We hope, we try and pretend we know. We want to know that we're going to live a long time, or we want to know that, but things will change. Things are always going to change, and we can't hold on to it. And so the pain that comes from the tightness, the trying to hold on, and I think, even right now in this idea of what our country isn't looking at, in general, that our history and that how many lives have been lost to this refusal to look. Because if we would have looked, we would have been able to see that there have been continued problems, that there are people that aren't not free. It's just, how do we look? How do we be able to look? Well, we have to be, I think, I don't know, but for myself, I can look when I realize the only thing I can do is look for the joy, but also find in myself the release of trying to be in control, the release of having to know, having to be the one who knows, having to figure out how to get away from the tigers or how to stop the mouse. I mean, that person could spend their whole rest of their life trying to like get out of that situation.
Yeah.
And then, but they would have never noticed the strawberry. I mean, how do we expand our view to say, you know what, this life has so much in it, and how can we build our capacity to hold everything with as much love and care and personal responsibility and joy, tenderness, pain. Like, how can we hold it? I don't know. I feel like sometimes I say things that sound like they're about right. and then, I'm trying to wrap it up, and I probably should just play another song,
well,
Ellen.
It's a really good segue
It is a
into
good
the
segue,
to the
yeah.
next track.
I mean, perfect example.
Yeah. So this is Ellis Delaney from her album Tigers Above, Tigers Below here on Back Catalog Listening Party.
Yeah.
What is this war we're fighting? So many people will be dying, innocent lives, the price of oil, and the old white men in the old White House are gonna turn everything inside out. They say it's protection for you and me. Don't worry, freedom, we will protect you, lock you up tight so no one will get you. Oh, how precious you are. You won't mind being locked up, dear freedom, just for a while, just till we beat them, our elusive enemy. We gotta make sure that we know who is on our side, and everyone must choose, agree to war or plan to move. And if you decide to stay, you'd better keep still, keep your ideals shut, let someone reveal how un-American you are. This price tag on safety is no guarantee. We traded justice for corporate money. Our vision is filtered and spun for a show. The battle between evil and a comic book hero. Don't worry, freedom, we will protect you, lock you up tight so no one will get you. Oh, how precious you are. You won't mind being locked up, dear freedom, just for a while, just till we beat them, our elusive enemy. Just for a while, then we promise we'll set you free.
All right. Ellis Delaney, Freedom from her 2003 release, Tigers Above, Tigers Below. And it's funny, that song is kind of what I think of when I think of this record, maybe because I used to play it a lot on Women Folk on my radio show at this time, because it was so of that moment, after 9/11 and involved in a war that, of course, continues to keep going. But there was a very similar sort of sense of fear that I feel like we're feeling now. So in a weird way, this does feel very present yet again, even though it was written about a different situation. Yeah. So how did that affect how you decided to record the song?
Well, I mean, the song itself, I wanted it to feel raw. I wanted the guitar to jangle. I wanted the voice to be compressed and have that edge, so when I'm singing, part of the edge you're hearing is me emotionally, but also the compression that we use to help squish the voice so that it can sound sonically, dirty, a little rough.
Really in your face.
And so,
yeah.
Which what?
It was really in your face. I heard that too.
Oh yeah. Totally. I thought you were saying my face was dirty. I was like, it's sort of like your face.
When I hear compression like that, like I always wonder about the intentionality, and I'm glad you touched on that. That's great. That's
I mean, really, it was like just for a while, just if it's like this idea of this, we give up trying to be safe. I think that message to me is what I'm hearing, for that applies to now. It's like, what are we going to believe about what safety is and how are we safe and how do we, what is freedom, and who has it and why? And, these are questions that I think it's important to be asking, and really feeling into like, am I free? Am I tighter than, afraid to do something wrong, to say something wrong, to, what's that about? How can I look into that, knowing that we human beings are oriented to heal? I've been reading this, and I, just really have been working this. I shouldn't say reading it. I've been working this wonderful book by Resmaa Menakem. If you follow my music, I talk about him all the time. He has this really, such a good book called My Grandmother's Hands. The understanding racialized trauma, understanding that Black bodies, white bodies, blue bodies all carry historic trauma. And this idea that we're oriented to heal, that I think we have to stop and be willing to feel it, be willing to hold what's happening and allow ourselves the time to process. I mean, I think what's so difficult is we are disconnected from our history, in general, in society. We're taught, the general body is taught to be disconnected, to be only about the newest technology or the newest, the thing that we're being told is the thing that's going to better our lives, and I'm just curious. I'm interested in not having to know anymore. And I'm just interested in, and it's a practice. It's a practice to not have to know. It's a practice to like,
yeah.
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 You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how can I not have to prove something? I think we've got and I think it's all tied to this, this not being connected, and Resmaa says it so much better in his book, but I feel like this song really, to me, speaks of that in this moment. This idea, because back then it was the axis of evil,
right.
The othering, this idea that, they aren't people, they're evildoers, those evildoers, and I feel like come on, y'all, the human beings. Yes, there are bad actors, but they are just doing bad things. They're not bad. You know what I mean?
Anyway. Right.
So,
no, I think it's an important message to hear right now when we're so, we make up these divides and we pretend we don't have to because they're other. And I think right now that's a painful realization we're all having is we're all the same. So that means everything we see, it's reflected on us as well.
For sure.
And I just want to make a public service announcement that Antifa is not is not a group. It's like socialism.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
I just want to say it's not like it's like capitalism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like a descriptive umbrella for a way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
That might a thing.
That might be my favorite caption we've ever had on the Back Catalog Listening Party. And if you just tuned in, you get all kinds of stuff every Friday here at 4. We get music, we get conversation, we get public service announcements like that. Antifa, not a group.
Not a thing.
And,
not a group. It's a thing.
And also, I want to have a shout out. Lindell tuning in. She said how much she enjoyed that song, Freedom. And Larry asks, are you going to tour again soon? I think he said next year is an important thing to say, because probably not before then is my guess.
That's kind of soon these days, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a gig in September that I'm just like, I don't know. And I just turned something down in October because it's going to be in a closed space. And I just don't know. I can't say for sure. You know what I mean? And so I'm just saying, I don't know. And if you can handle, I don't know, then let's plan to look into it further. Mm-hmm. But if you need someone now to put on your schedule, find someone else. And I'm sorry. And, so I'm really being cautious.
Tough decisions that we have to make, because you have, there's a lot of different players, a lot of different interests, and sometimes as an artist you have to make that call. And
we can't wear masks,
right?
As singing. No. I mean, it's going to be a really weird thing that some tech company is going to come up with.
I just saw
the
an
mic
ad
inside
today.
The mask.
I actually just saw an ad today on Facebook.
No, you didn't.
Oh no.
I didn't click on it, so I don't know how but they seemed to be marketing it towards singers. Now, I don't know what that means at all. I mean,
I don't really want to know, to be honest. That sounds bad. Well, speaking of not playing, folks, I've got to let you know that that Ellis is a very hardworking musician, and is, her touring income has completely dried up. So one of the jobs that for Ellen and I really wanted to set out with this is to help these artists in any way we can. So if you got the Venmo, open it up and send a little something to Ellis. And here on the screen is her Venmo handle.
Yes, and I would also recommend, again, if you like what you're hearing here today, to order this record from our website, ellisdelaney.com, as well as all the titles, because they're all fantastic. So you can really beef up your music library, because we all don't know how long we're going to be quarantined for. So
I know, and I think that's the worst
music.
part. Yeah, I know. It's a good thing there's a lot of back catalog here.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Well, speaking of which, we want to make sure we at least get one more tune in here before we wrap things up. And this one I think feels appropriate, actually, to end things on. It's called Looking for the Good. What can you tell us about this song?
Oh my goodness. So this song was co-written with Billy McLaughlin, who is a fingerstyle guitar player. And it was written for this really wonderful woman, Mary, who had been through a very traumatic robbery, beaten. She had to have like 15 surgeries. I can't remember. It was like a lot of trauma, body trauma and emotional trauma. And she had made her way through it. And so she wanted us to write a song, or wanted Billy to write a song that was looking for the good, looking for something, feeling like that things are going to come, good things are going to happen, that even though I've been through a lot, that there is a strength here, there's resilience here. And Billy was having trouble with the lyrics. And so somehow I don't know how it ended up happening, but he ended up giving me the song. And I mean, I wrote it. I mean, I felt it right away. And he loved it and she loved it. And so then I couldn't play that kind of fingerstyle guitar that Billy does. And so I asked Julie Wolfe, who I know, I asked her to interpret. Could you take this and turn this song into this beautiful, colorful, like stretchy, like chords that just feel like they're everything that this song is saying. And so, it was a collaboration.
This is one of my favorites on the album. You can really hear that jazz singing. So we want to thank the high school program. And remember, folks, music in the schools is really important.
We need another caption for that.
Yeah, I can't move
Arts
that
funding,
quickly.
or funding.
Yes.
Funding.
Yes,
funding.
funding
Let's just say.
in general. But man, no, the vocals on this are amazing. I love the harmonies and with the melody. It's fantastic. And
Oh, and I just want to say we recorded this in Piety Street studio. It was the only studio moment that we had to find a piano that we could record, an acoustic piano there in New Orleans.
Who is that on the piano then? Is that
Julie Wolf.
That's Julie. Okay. All right. Well, this is a really good one to end on. This is Ellis Delaney, Looking for the Good, on the Back Catalog Listening Party.
Amen.
Slow going to survive the nightmare. Slow healing time. I'm walking even though I'm scared. Oh, inside strength. I need to know you're there. It's not important how bad this looks. Bones are broken by the blows I took. So much in this life is not understood. I am looking for the good. Slow going to get on with my life. Slow healing time. Thankful I am still alive. It's not important how bad this looks. Bones are broken by the blows I took. So much in this life is not understood. I am looking for the good. Light shine down on me, I am. Light shine down on me, I am. Light shine down on me, I am. Light shine down on me, I am a light. Ooh, shine down on me.
And that was Ellis Delaney with the wonderful Julie Wolf on piano, Looking for the Good, from the 2003 release, Tigers Above, Tigers Below. And I have to say, you know, it's kind of the polar opposite of Freedom, where your voice was so compressed. This is like the complete opposite, this beautiful, full, you know, sounding like you're in a church kind of feel to this song. And were you recording live with Julie, or is that did you track it separately?
You know, I can't remember.
Well,
I'm sure, you know, it's possible we recorded it at the same time, you know, but we could have easily done the, probably we did though, probably, because there was so much flow.
That's what I was going to say. There's so much conversation between the vocals and the piano. It's just,
I can't imagine actually. It would have,
I mean, it would be hard to even know, like, oh, is this where I'm coming in? I don't,
Yeah.
because that's not a click track kind of song.
Especially that boom, 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 boom. like, oh.
I saw you move into that, and
I had to mute myself because I knew I was going to have to start singing. I was like, oh, we don't want to hear too.
is that a song you ever perform live, or is that one that you kind of save for the record version? I know there's some songs that I know that I never do of my back catalog because I'm like, I can't kind of recreate that on stage.
Yeah, if I did a tour with Julie, we might work that up, but it's not something or another piano player that I felt like, could really, my piano chops are just really very spare. So I couldn't do that as fluidly and sing, so it's just for me, yeah, I just don't play it because it's just, or maybe if I did it, I'd probably have to do it a cappella or something, because it just feels like it would have to be a totally different thing.
For sure.
No, I guess I should just answer your question. No.
No. I liked
No,
your
I do
answer.
not.
That was good. Well, we got to hear it here today on
so
Back
glad.
Catalog Listening Party, and this has been such a treat of an hour to spend with you,
It's
Ellis.
an hour is already up.
I know. How did that happen? But I have to say that's especially that song and this whole collection really, though, again, it really spoke to my soul today, and where I've been feeling, and ending on that kind of optimistic note. I think I can't think of a better way to start my weekend.
Yeah, yeah, and I wanted to just before we go mention something that I saw. Speaking of this, there's when I was kind of looking through your press materials on your webpage and things like this idea of optimism and encouragement and things like that just kept popping up, and I saw something that caught my eye, and maybe this is another thing that we could leave folks with, was something called Right on Time. And it's an actual telephone hotline you can call to receive an encouraging message from you. Can you just briefly tell us about this? I didn't get to call it before the show, but I'm definitely calling afterwards.
Oh my gosh. Well, every week I make this message, and the idea came from this, I want to retrain my own brain to really know and trust and feel inherent worth. Just the feeling of knowing that I don't have to do anything to deserve to be here on this planet. It's like a trauma thing. It's like a childhood trauma thing. And it's work, deep work that I've been doing. And I can say that, to you, knowing that it's deep work and knowing that I am totally healing. And part of my healing journey is being in community with other people around this idea that we do not support in our society. This idea of inherent worth, that I'm not worth more than you because of my gifts, and I'm not worth less than you because of my weaknesses. I have inherent worth. And this idea blows my mind because it's true. Like, our lives are precious, and we human beings it's so fast. Like, we're not here that long. And so, how can I really appreciate this life, and making this hotline is just a wonderful way for me to show up every week to, say with my full self, as much as I can, with every cell I have, this truth that I believe to be true. And, and then even when you don't believe it, it's still there. It's like your heart. You don't have to think about it, for it to, be beating, thank goodness. So like when you can not think about your heart all day and it's been there for you. You know what I mean? Like, I think inherent worth can be like that if we can just trust that it's there and know that it's there. But even when we don't, it's still there. It's just because you're breathing. And so, so this hotline message has really provided a community kind of situation that isn't tied into the social media world. Like, it's just really about, me offering this joyful, tender, sometimes, message of struggle, sometimes message of like, I figured out this thing and I want to share it with you, or, and then people can leave a message if they want, and I listen to all the messages, or you can text me and I'll text you back. because that way there can be some call and response. You know, I can, you know, we can be in communication that way. But also people can just call and never say anything. Like I have people that call every week that I just have no idea who they are, but I recognize the number. I'm like, oh, hey, you know?
Yeah.
So when the phone rings, I know somebody else's. Yeah.
That's so great. And Larry said, super great messages. Ellis cares. So we are so grateful for you, your music, and your sense of community, trying to connect us and make us feel good despite all the hardships that that we all experience all the time. So
this message,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. These messages, just the last hour, and the things that you've been saying were things that I certainly needed to hear today, and I imagine there's other folks out there as well. So please keep doing that for us.
And you're so welcome. And I should give you the number really quick. It's 612-998-2355. You got it. Yay.
Perfect. And we'll also post it on the Facebook page as well, so folks can find it there. And if you like this episode and want to share it with your friends, please do. We do archive all of these episodes, and every once in a while, if there's a glitch on Facebook, then we create a YouTube version. So do look for the past episodes and share with your friends. And we'll be back next Friday at 4 with another edition of the Back Catalog Listening Party. We have Becky Buller joining us, so we'll have some bluegrassy music headed your way. So thank you so much, Ellis, and to all of you out there listening.
Yeah, thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.
Bye.
Bye.